and welcome to my channel. Well, I was just thinking about this. This is kind of a random thing, but knives and flashlights. Collecting them is similar in a lot of ways. You know, the way you collect knives, the reasons why you collect knives are the same. A lot of times, are the same reason why I collect different flashlights. You know, to the uninformed, you would look at these and you would say, all three of those are flashlights. All three of them, you know, when you turn them on, light comes out, and that's all I need to know. You know, for some people, that's all. That's as far as they need to go. They're not collectors. They're not enthusiasts. They're practical with their approach to it. Now, you can still be practical and enthusiast. The problem with enthusiast is this is a TD 02, 03, and 04. You see what's happening here? I'm collecting a series for some reason. I have a TD01 coming in today. See? So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4. The same thing happens with knives a lot of times, you know. If they come out with a particular series or whatever, you know, it has a certain handle material. You may collect it just based on the handle material. You may collect it just based upon the steel, the capabilities. With flashlights, you may get it the same way, you know, just for the features and the capabilities, or the emitter, or the driver in it, or how it works, you know, how it looks, the capacity, you know, and I've been using this case knife right here a lot just to cut cardboard. The reason why I'm cutting cardboard is not just to test this thing up, it's a practical use. I'm recycling cardboard boxes from Amazon into little trays to put cat food down on, you know, so it doesn't leave a big mess. I can transport it without spilling it, you know, and everything. And I can clean it up when I'm finished, you know, so, or when the cats are finished. And what I found, I was using a Scandi grind knife, not this particular one, but I was using a Scandi grind thinking it's going to cut cardboard well. And I found out, no, the Saber grind is much better with, you know, like the micro bevel and everything. This thing goes through cardboard like crazy. I haven't sharpened it, and I've cut a lot of cardboard, and I really like it. Another thing I like about it too is it reminds me of that K-bar that I had when I was a child, except this one fits my hand a little bit better because, you know, I haven't grown that much more. But I just like the blade shape and everything else of this one. And let's get the number up here. 365-5, I think. Yeah, and there's a little dot. It's a 9 dot. But yeah, it's just, if you collect knives also, you get more than you can usually use. And if you just set them back on a shelf, I mean, I'm not criticizing anybody. If you collect for investment, then you probably don't want to use them. If you collect them and you have a particular favorite, well, who am I to criticize? I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying for my particular purposes, I tend to find a certain knife that works in that category, like fixed blade knife or whatever. And I kind of treat it the way I used to treat flashlights, in that I have a favorite. I have one that just, you know, I tend to just go to every time. If I can't find it, I know I've got other knives or I've got other flashlights, but I'm kind of annoyed, you know. I wanted that one. I wanted that shape, you know. I wanted that blade shape. I wanted that steel. I wanted a Scandi grind and not a Saber grind. I wanted that one. And the problem for me, of course, is, you know, how well do you organize your collections? And mine tend to be things thrown in boxes. I live in a small apartment, but because I tend to, you know, to be cluttered and put stuff on top of other stuff, I couldn't find a bench grinder today. I had an idea. I remember where I used to store it, underneath the other table, but I moved it so that I could have my foot space. And I thought, well, where would I move it to? And I looked underneath this table, and this table's got a bunch of pots and pans and bottles of water. I think there's a lead acid battery down there. I mean, there's there's all kinds of stuff stored. Well, I just kept going back and forth, and I finally found it in the closet with some cardboard boxes on top of it. Well, I knew I had it, but I mean, when you miss something as large as a bench grinder, yeah, and that'll drive you nuts when you get older, let me tell you, because you're already, trying to keep on guard of dementia or mental decline or whatever, which is eventually going to happen to all of us. And if you can't find something, man, you can drive yourself nuts. It's like an obsession. You're like, I'm going to find it, I'm going to find it. And you keep going. I had to tell myself, stop looking underneath this table. You have looked under it 3 times now. There's nothing physically that big that could fit underneath here. Stop doing this, But my mind is always like, check under the table. It was there before. Yeah, but it's not now, But anyways, getting back to knives and flashlights and collections and everything. Like I said, I haven't done a review of the 4 yet, but I really like this flashlight. It's a 21700 size flashlight, but both of these are 18650s, and it's not that much bigger. It's not that much heavier. Also, the machining on it, I really like the matte finish and the texture on this, the way it's done. My only issue with this particular flashlight is the dual switch configuration, because you can turn it on this way, you can get turbo this way, but everything else you have to use the side switch for. And Workhorse knows how to make a flashlight without a side switch. A lot of times that's what confuses me. They have perfectly good functioning parts, that work on one flashlight, but they don't bring it to others. Like the switch right here. The best switch that they've run into that I've found so far is on the FC13 or the TS11, that big round one with the solderment, because it's easy to hit. Now this one is a solid one, so maybe they had a lot of this size parts still left over. You never know, what it is. Maybe they can't source the other one that much. Maybe it didn't fit their design. Who knows? But a lot of times with flashlights have evolved more than knives since I started collecting. Because this case knife right here is probably identical to a case knife pattern like this from when they first started making them. This size flashlight didn't exist. This capabilities of flashlight didn't exist when I was growing up at all. I'm from the incandescent age. And ICA. Incandescent. I don't know, how would you spell incandescent? How used to be IA? I'm from the IA. What's that? That's before LEDs and computer chips and really efficient batteries and everything else. Believe me, we've got it much better nowadays with these good flashlights and everything. But anyways, I rambled on a little bit too long. I just wanted to say using different knives that I have. When I get knives, I use them. When I initially get a knife or a flashlight, I use it and I carry it, for at least a week, trying it out and everything. And if it's good, usually a lot of times something else is coming in. So, it has to get that initial trial period too. And a lot of times some will get set aside and you kind of like forget about it. But this one, I pulled out on purpose. I said, you know what, this is such a nice feeling knife, and it reminds me of the original K-Bar. Yeah, I could use the K-Bar from when I was a kid, but I like this one better. And using it, really it's just such a great feeling when you've got 2 different knives, right? But you find one that's perfect for your use. And it's the same way with flashlights. You can find one that is perfect for your use, perfect for your capabilities. Like, any of these would not be as good as this little guy in certain situations. This is that little magnetic one that it's tiny and everything, but it's on my belt loop, and without completely pulling it out, I can illuminate my path, below, just by pulling on this without letting it go. So I've got a momentary on light and everything. None of these are capable of doing that. So yeah, they're all flashlights. They're all knives. There's a bunch of different shapes, and I think in like traditional knives, that's where you run into knives that a lot of the patterns and designs are there because people found them practical before. Somebody's already field tested a lot of this stuff for you. With new knives and new flashlights, yeah, knives are a little bit less because you still basically, they're all going to cut. It's just blade shape and edge geometry, heat treatment, and all that other stuff. But, they basically are all going to cut. With flashlights, it can vary so much that you can get a flashlight that's 18650 and is a piece of crap. It's just a waste of everything. It's a waste of your money. Because for the same amount of money, you can get much better flashlights. Now, like I said, I am not sponsored by Workhorse. Every flashlight that I've gotten from Workhorse, I bought on my own. There's only one where they sent me a link to get a discount on, and I've seen the same type of discount running on Amazon to just anybody. So, I didn't get anything super special out of it, and that didn't change my, impression of the flashlight. But, yeah, this company, Workhorse in Sofran, is pretty good, and I mean, that's just from me, using them and everything. Not, like I said, it's just my opinion, but just grabbing, like this one I think cost me like $30 or $40, but just holding something that's made well and machined well. It reminds me of like Knipex tools and stuff like that. When you get something that it's a little bit, this one's not more expensive, but I mean it's just built a little bit, machined a little bit better than some of the other flashlights you run into. Now, Olight also has very well machined flashlights and everything, and they're designed well, and in Olight's case, they have a lifetime warranty. But they're much more expensive. Like I said, this flashlight is like $30 or $40, depending on when you catch them on sale. Olight, a similar flashlight like this, would probably cost you $100 or more. Again, it's all in what you want to do. I like Olight too. I'm not like an anti-Olight person or anything. It's just that I like finding a company that offers me good value for the money. And the problem with just randomly picking a bunch of different companies and stuff is sooner or later you're going to run into some junk. And Olight, they're trying and everything. They listen because like the TD01 that came out, it was bright and everything. It had high lumens, but when it was in turbo, it knocked it down pretty quick, and it stayed at a lower output for much longer. And so that's where a lot of them play the lumen games. I think in order for a thing to qualify for listing as, a certain amount of lumens, it's got to maintain that for at least 30 seconds. Well, 30 seconds is not much for a spotlight. I mean, it is good if you've spotlighted something already, but if you're searching for something, you probably want your high lumens for about as long as you can maintain it until you find what you're searching for. And then you can vary your output. So the lumen game where 3,000 lumens or 10,000 lumens, these companies here are a little bit more accurate, but there are some that are just crazy. You'll find on AliExpress or Amazon, where they just have outrageous lumens that they're advertising off a tiny little thing. And once you get it and realize it, you've got to figure out, the return policy and everything else, because Amazon doesn't seem to regulate the scammers quite as well as, like with eBay. If somebody does a listing like that and it keeps getting bad, eventually they're going to get negative, reviews, and the seller confidence rating is going to go down. With Amazon, you never know when something's being offered. That's why a lot of times I look at who's offering it, and if it's a company or like they have their own web presence a lot of times. So, you're just getting it from the manufacturer offering, on a different platform. But anyway, all I'm saying, there you go. Just wanted to let you know this has been my favorite fixed blade recently because I use it so much and it just feels good in the hand. The leather stacked handles, the way it fits and feels, and yeah, I love this knife. I like these other ones too. It's just that I don't do as much bushcraft and woodworking as I do cardboard cutting, and then that's mainly because of cats. I blame it all on the cats. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.